God, we humbly beseech thee to look with favor upon this Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that it may perform its high duty as in thy sight. Give divine guidance to the President of the Republic, thou members of Parliament and ministers of state with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the labors of government, this land and people may be well and truly served. Thy good purposes for the common human life be realized in our midst. O God, grant us the vision of our country, fair as it might be, country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, country of plenty, where evil and poverty shall be done away with, country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service and honor shall be given to the deserving, country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people and the love for the common good. Bless the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Honourable members, correction of votes and proceedings and official report. We commence with a correction of the votes and proceedings of the 28th sitting on the third meeting held on Monday, December 13th, 2021. Page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, page 8, page 9. Yes,
thank you, Mr. Speaker. Page 7, number 35. Yesterday I was in Parliament. I even participated in committee meeting. I was not absent.
That's Honourable Member for Keta.
Yes.
Right? Very well. Page 8, page 9, page 10, page 11, page 12, page 13, page 14, page 15, page 16, page 17, page 18, page 19, page 20, page 21, page 22, page 23, page 24, page 25, page 26, page 27, page 28, page 29, 30, page 31, page 32, 33. Yes, remember for Adenta.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on page 33, item Roman numeral XVII, my surname has been spelled wrongly. Ramadan is Ramadan. There's no N. So the table office, please.
Very well. The table office will take note. Page 34. Page 35. Page 36. Yes, Honorable Member for Adenta.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, page 36, Roman numeral XVII. My surname once again has been spelled wrongly. This time around, they've omitted AN, so it's Ramadan. And then if you go down to in attendance, item numbered IV, Mrs. AA is Darko, DARKO, not DANKO. And Mr. Speaker, I serve on the Health Committee, and I sat through all the estimates. Director in charge of policy planning, Dr. Damiankra, conspicuously his name has been missing from the list, but he was in throughout with us. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. The committee records will be verified so that the table office can effect the appropriate corrections. Thank you. Page 37. Page 38. Yes, Honorable Member for Northern.
I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the first item at page 38, XXXIV, the someone, I think the semicolon in between the E and L should go. And Mr. Speaker, the representative of the whole teaching hospital, XLIX, Mr. Simon, is Jokoto. That should be the spelling, DZOKOTO, not DZODKOJO. I know the gentleman very well, and Jokoto is his name. So if it can be corrected. And Mr. Speaker, if you will also indulge me, the Director General of the ACE Commission, the Ghana ACE Commission, Mr. Steve Jireme, not Chireme as in K, and it should be a Tuahene, not a Fuahene as has been captured. So if it can be corrected. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. Those corrections will be taken note by the table office. Page 39. Page 40. Page 41. Honourable members, subject to the corrections already pointed out, the votes and proceedings of Monday, 13 December, hereby adopted as a true record of the proceeding. Yes, Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I just opened to page 26 and 27, and with your indulgence, I have seen in attendance Honorable Emmanuel Henry IJ listed there. Then Honorable Mr. Adam Mohammed Suparu. I should think that is a mix-up because those are members of Parliament in attendance. Is that right? I just want to find out. Okay, thank you.
Are you clear? Very well. That's very well. And once again, the votes and proceedings of Monday, 13 December, hereby adopted as a true record of proceedings. Yes, Honorable Chief.
Speaker, I seek your leave for the order of business to be varied. For us to take item 7 on today's order paper. And Speaker, seek your leave to...
I have one official report. Can you let us finish with the official report? Then we can vary the order paper. Honorable members, I have the official report of Friday, 12 November 2021. Any corrections? Any corrections? In the absence of any corrections, the official report of Friday, 12 November 2021 is hereby adopted as a true record of proceedings. Now you may repeat your application.
Speaker, I seek your leave to vary the order of business for us to take item 7, presentation of papers. And Speaker, these are the items ready to be laid, and I seek your leave that I'll do the laying. Item 7. 7E on page 6. 7EII on page 6, Speaker. 7J II on page 8. 7P, P for Paul, Speaker, on page 9. 7Q, also on page 9. 7R on page 9. And 7W on page 10. IV, leaving out V, and VII. So 7W, IV, VI. So with your leave for me to lay
Not
them.
VII.
VI, excluding VII.
Very well. Yes, Minority.
Mr. Speaker, there should be no problem provided the chairman of the committees are here to do what is needful and procedurally appropriate to lay those papers. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. So we'll move to item 7, presentation of papers. The first one is item EII, is that right? The chairman of the committee.
So the first is actually EI. And so I sought your leave with the kind
EI.
Yes, the support of the minority leader to do the laying on behalf of the chairman.
Report of the Committee on Employment, Social Welfare and State Enterprises on the annual budget estimates of the National Labour Commission for the year ending 31st December 2022.
The report is duly laid for distribution to members. II.
Report of the Committee on Employment, Social Welfare and State Enterprises on the annual budget estimates of the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations for the year ending 31st December 2022.
The report is duly laid for distribution to members. Item JI.
Report of the Committee on Youth, Sports and Culture on the annual budget estimates of the Ministry of Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs for the year ending 31st December 2022.
The report is duly laid for distribution to members. Item P.
Report of the Committee on Environment, Science and Technology on the annual budget estimates of the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation for the year ending 31st December 2022.
The report is duly laid for distribution to members. Item Q.
Report of the Joint Committee on Lands and Forestry and Mines and Energy on the annual budget estimates for the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources for the year ending 31st December 2022.
The report is duly laid for distribution to members. Item R.
Report of the Committee on Local Government and Rural Development on the annual budget estimates of the Ministry of Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development for the year ending 31st December 2022.
The report is duly laid is for distribution to members. Item WI.
Report of the Special Budget Committee on the annual budget estimates of the Public Services Commission for the year ending 31st December 2022.
The report is duly laid is for distribution to members. Item II.
Report of the Special Budget Committee on the annual budget estimates of the National Media Commission for the year ending 31st December 2022.
The report is duly laid for distribution to members. III.
Report of the Special Budget Committee on the annual budget estimates for the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice for the year ending 31st December 2022.
The report is duly laid for distribution to members. Item IV.
Report of the Special Budget Committee on the annual budget estimates of the Audit Service for the year ending 31st December 2022.
The report is duly laid for distribution to members. Item VI. Yes, Honorable Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I have noted that you rightly I vice chair this committee, so National Commission on Civic Education, you are right on VI, because with Electoral Commission, the chairperson was not available herself, and we insisted that we only take the budget if she came in personally and officially as chairperson of the Electoral Commission to defend her own budget. So that was deferred until Thursday before our committee will report back. Deputy directors of the commission were there, but not the chairperson, Mrs. Jean Mensah. So thank you. I noticed you called VI.
Very well. That report appears not to be ready. So we'll move on to NCCE. VI.
Report of the Special Budget Committee on the annual budget estimates of the National Commission on Civic Education for the year ending 31st December 2022.
The report is duly laid. It's for distribution to members. Yes. What next?
Speaker, I guess we cannot go on to take item 12 on page 12. Speaker, I'll seek your leave to...
Item 12.
Item 12, which is a motion. Item 12.
Oh, let's finish with the question. The Minister for Local Government is here to answer questions. Is that right?
Speaker, the agreement is that we stand down all the questions for now. That was agreement. So we could come back to the questions. We could come back to the questions. Speaker, my colleague should just understand. Let's finish the laying. And the agreement was that, Honorable Speaker, we'll do the laying, and then we'll take the motion, item 12, after which we'll come and do other items listed. There should be no argument about this.
So first, let's be clear. Are we continuing the laying of papers, or we're going to do a motion before which one? Which paper is to be laid?
We will continue with the laying, after which we take item 12.
Yes, Honorable Leader.
Mr. Speaker, truth be told, I couldn't join you at conclave. Therefore, whether there was agreement or no agreement, I cannot be party to it nor speak to it. But once you have the Minister for Local Government here to respond to questions, it's appropriate that he can lay a few more bills or reports. Then we revert to questions, then we can come and take the Pan-African Parliament report. Yes, take questions before it. And the questions is only when I got here, I was standing with the Minister for Employment when you said the understanding may be that we can, but the Minister is here. So, Mr. Speaker, let's do questions as and when any report is ready, it can be laid. But I see the Minister for Defense wanting to lay a paper. I hope not a report, because you cannot be chairman of a committee. You are laying a paper, so confer with the whip, then he can seek Mr. Speaker's indulgence.
Speaker, I'm in agreement with the leader. So we will lay, as indicated, we'll lay item 7D, D for Daniel, on page 6, after which we'll take the questions now.
Very well. Item 7D by the Minister for Defense.
Speaker, we need to take the facility agreement, which is V. We'll take the facility agreement first. 7V before the D.
Sorry, you said 7-1.
Speaker, 7V. Violate.
Yes, that is what I called.
7V and then
V.
7D. But V first.
CV. Okay. 7CV by the Minister for Finance. What is the V about? Facility agreement. Very well. Yes, Honorable Leader.
Mr. Speaker, just for you to take note, and our colleague, the whip for the majority, the Committee on Lands and Forests, Mr. Speaker, is arguing strongly that they haven't even met, let alone a report being made. We have to guide against those developments, because arguably I have the number of committees I serve on. That's why when he was laying for special budget, I was following him through. Those that we have met, there should be no difficulty submitting the report, even though I know even some of it we are still reviewing the draft. But to get government business going, we should. But where the committee have not met, it will not be acceptable to proceed to be laying a report. So kindly.
So which particular one?
Lands and Forestry. Q, page 1. Mr. Speaker, page 9Q. No, he had reached there. He laid it. So that has to be stood down, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable.
Speaker, under the circumstance, we will stand down item 7Q, which was already laid. And Speaker, this was because of earlier communication I received. But I will accede to you. No problem. We'll stand it down. And then we'll go on to take. No way. Is it?
Very well. Very well. The order that Item Q, the report be distributed is hereby revoked. Right. Item 7C, Roman numeral 5B. Yes, Honorable Minister for. Is in respect of this item?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's about this laying of papers, and one that had to do with.
Can we finish with what is being laid? After that, I'll revert to you. Yes, Honorable Minister for Defense.
Facility agreement between the government of the Republic of Ghana, represented by the Ministry of Finance, and Seska Exportna Banka AS Czech Bank Export Bank ASCEB of the Czech Republic for an amount of 5,135,546 euros and 70 cents, with an export credit agency premium of 10,453,156.70 euros to finance the supply of 6 L-39 next generation L-39 LG aircraft and the provision of support in terms of products, services, and ground-based training system associated with the aircraft operation of the Ghana Armed Forces.
Very well, the paper is duly presented. Is referred to the Committee on Finance to consider and report. Yes.
Speaker, we continue with the laying and take item 7S, S for sugar, on page 9. S for sugar on page 9, II. Speaker, I seek your leave to do the laying.
Very well. But there are two reports under S. Which one? I or III?
Speaker, there are two.
Both of them. Very well. Item SI.
Report of the Committee on Food, Agriculture and Cocoa Affairs on the annual budget estimates of the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development for the year ending 31st December 2022.
The report is duly laid for distribution to members. SIII. I see the chairman of our Agri Committee here.
Report of the Committee on Food, Agriculture and Cocoa Affairs on the annual budget estimates of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture for the year ending 31st December 2022.
The report is duly laid for distribution to members. Yes, Honorable Chibwe.
Speaker, we should now take item 7D. Item 7D, D for Daniel, on page 6.
Very well. 7D by the Minister for Defense.
Performance Sales and Purchase Agreement between the Government of the Republic of Ghana, represented by the Ministry of Defense Aero Vodoki Airspace AS of the Czech Republic for an amount of 111,393,400 euros for the supply of 6 L-39 next generation aircraft and the provision of support in terms of products, services, and ground-based training system associated with the aircraft operation for the Ghana Armed Forces.
The paper is duly presented. It's referred to the Committee on Defense and Interior to consider and report. Yes, Honorable.
Speaker, I think we are ready to take the questions now.
Very well. Item 5. Questions. Question number 356 is the name of the Honorable Member for Timpani, Alamisi and Kamvareba.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to ask the Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development what urgent steps the Ministry is taking to halt the rezoning of the land belonging to Parks and Gardens Department at Cantonment into a multi-purpose office complex. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minister for Local Government.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Section 93(1) of the Land Use and Spatial Planning Act 2016, Act 925, states, and I quote, "Where a person seeks to change the zoning of the whole or part of the piece of land, that person shall apply in writing to the District Spatial Planning Committee of the district, to which the change relates, in the form prescribed in the zoning regulations and planning standards." The above legal provision indicates that the responsibility of zoning lies in the ambit of the Land Use and Spatial Planning Authority, which is under the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, MERSI. The question may therefore be referred to the Minister responsible for the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm most grateful to the Minister for the answer. It is well noted, and I will revert to the appropriate ministry to get the appropriate answer. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Very well. Question number 528. The Honorable Member for Evaluate Ajomoro Bira, Mr. Kofi Akun Nokwe. Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to ask the Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development on what plans the ministry has towards providing the Community Vocational and Technical Institute, that's Combotech, in Axim with one technical workshop, boys' dormitory, and a pickup truck. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in 1957, the Department of Community Development DOCD started vocational skills training for only females in the SY Women Training Institute across the country. In 2000, the Department of Community Development introduced technical skills training and started admitting male students into the institutes. The ultimate aim being to empower illiterate, sub-illiterate, school dropouts, teenage mothers, unemployed youth, and other vulnerable groups in the disadvantaged rural and urban to acquire skills and practical trade for sustainable livelihoods. The department currently has 25 community development, vocational and technical institutions across the country. The introduction of both vocational and technical skills training led to increased intake by some of the schools, as well as Community Vocational and Technical Institute, Convotech in Azim. However, most of the schools are facing serious challenges, including inadequate dormitories, technical workshops, vehicles, tools, and equipment due to inadequate budgetary allocation. Mr. Speaker, the ministry has over the years supported these training institutions by retooling and upgrading their infrastructure to address their critical needs. In 2021, with the promulgation of the Pre-Tertiary Act 2020, Act 1049, all technical and vocational institutions under various ministries and departments are to be realigned under the Ministry of Education. These technical vocational institutions will be managed by the Technical and Vocational Training service, TVET service. Consequently, the 25 CDVTIs, its assets and staff will eventually be absorbed into TVET service under the Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Education has written to the Ministry of Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, indicating its intention to visit selected technical and vocational institutes under the ministry to assess the infrastructure, human resource capacity, curriculum and instructional delivery. As a result, the ministry is no longer pursuing the retooling of the CDVTIs and is holding itself in readiness for a smooth transition. And I may want to add, Right Honourable Speaker, that I want to believe that when the education takes over, the concerns of Honourable Member from Azim will be adequately addressed. Thank you.
Yes, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Mr. Honourable Minister, for being so kind. This Convotech Institute happens to be the only vocational and technical institute in the whole of Evaluatua. It was established in 1962 and then rebranded in 1973, making it 48 years old. I was there this weekend and the state of infrastructure is in a terrible state. I wouldn't want to probe further, but appeal to the Honourable Minister to do all within his means to ensure that this school gets its fair share of retooling, upgrading, and whatever it will take to put it to good use. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Very well. Question number 529. The Honourable Member for Kachinot, Mr. Peter Nochukotoi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development what steps the Ministry is taking to decentralize the issuance of birth certificates to reduce the frustrations applicants go through at the Birth and Death Registry Head Office in Accra. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker, we have a detailed answer in the answer 529. Right Honourable Speaker, you realize that we have gone ahead to even make reference to 1888. But, Right Honourable Speaker, I want to humbly request that the answer captures this. But to address the members' question, the detailed briefing I got even this morning, that the functions of the Birth and Death Registry has been decentralized, and it is decentralized. Right Honourable Speaker, the member is asking why to reduce the frustrations applicants go through at the Birth and Death Registry Head Office in Accra. And Right Honourable Speaker, the issue is birth and death certificates are issued in their districts. They have registration of infants up to the age of 1. You are given a certificate. It is only when you want a certified true copy that you apply to the head office. So you don't go to the head office for a birth certificate. If for some reason your parents did not register you up to age 1, then you fall into the category of late registration. And that you can only be registered, you apply to the head office, they will refer you to where you were born, entry number, to be registered by the Birth and Death Registry. It is different from applying for a certified true copy of your birth certificate. That is what people may want to go and apply at the headquarters in Accra. But you don't go to the headquarters in Accra for your normal birth certificate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the explanatory answer given by the Minister on pages 28, 29, and then 30 of the other paper for today. Mr. Speaker, I am very sure that if you go to birth and death registry today or this morning, you will find a crowd of people. And if you interview them, you will realize or know that they are looking for the ordinary or whatever it is birth certificate. The situation there is what I have seen. That's why I'm asking this question. Because if you want a birth certificate, not a certified one, you have to come to that. You have to go to that office, and the challenge there is very, very great. So I want to find out from the minister, what assurances can you give the nation and this house that issuance of birth certificates will be easy at the district level, so that people don't have to travel to Accra to acquire one? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, two things. This House passed Registration of Birth and Death Act 2020 and 1027. Right, Honorable Speaker, only last week we laid the regulations of Registry of Birth and Death Regulation 2021 in the House. Right, Honorable Speaker, the regulations coming into force plus the act which we passed last year will make it easier for people to get their birth certs at the decentralized levels. Right, Honorable Speaker, is leveraging on technology and also introducing more points where people can inform the birth and death registry at the district level, so that many of the births can be captured. Right, Honorable Speaker, I may want to inform the House that the Register of Birth and Death, as it exists now, they have 400 sub-district and district registration centers throughout the country, and all the 260 districts to have birth and death registry, because birth and death, by the act that we passed, is a decentralized department now, and arrangements are being made based on the act that has been passed, the act in force now, to transfer the staff that were in the head of civil service into local government service. So now they become staff of the local government, the district assemblies, to increase the numbers and also to increase service delivery. But based on the detailed briefing I got this morning, right, Honorable Speaker, I think the issue will have to be more of education. I can assure members that we will get the experts or the staff, the registrar and the staff of Register of Birth and Death to use the various mass media to educate people. Because from what I was told, once your parents did not get a birth certificate for you under the age of 1, then you are a late registrant. So you were born in Akati, but you now live in Accra. So you go to the head office of Register of Birth and Death. Now you want birth certificate. Since you could not produce the one that was supposed to be issued to you under H1, then we are applying for a birth certificate. Your name has not been entered in any record of the Registry of Birth and Death. So what they will do is that they will send your application back to your region and back to your district to be first given a number of entry And that means that you have not been registered as a Ghanaian having been given birth in that area where you were born. After that, you can then apply for a certified true copy. It is a certified true copy, like maybe a passport, which is only signed at the headquarters. But it's not necessarily issued that when it is signed at the headquarters, wherever you first had your entry in the district, it can be sent to the district and you should collect it from there. You don't need to travel to Accra to come and collect your certified true copy of your birth certificate. So, right on this, I can assure the member in the House for that matter, but I think that we'll also get the Register of Birth and Death to do more education so that people will really understand it. The difference between infant registration and the late registration, and the difference between an ordinary birth cert and a certified true copy of your birth certificate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Honorable Minister, you left your mic on.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the answers given by the Honorable Minister. This one, just want to find out from him. At the Births and Deaths Registry, the office facilities that they have now, infrastructure-wise, is the Ministry of Local Government doing anything about it, or has the ministry got any plans to provide them with a good office accommodation?
But this is not a follow-up question. Well, I'm sure if you meet them at the committee level, we can get all the information. Right. If you are done, very well. Honorable Minister, I think the real challenge you have to deal with is, one, misinformation and the attitude of people working in those departments. Those are the biggest challenges that generate the frustration. Thank you. Now we'll proceed to question number 732. Honorable Member for Bolivamboy, Yusuf Suleiman.
Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development when the Bole district will be elevated to a municipal assembly.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Section 128 of the Local Governance Act 2016 Act 936 states that the President may, by executive instrument, declare any area within the country to be a district. Section 3 further indicates that the President shall, in the exercise of this power, direct the Electoral Commission to make appropriate recommendations. Sections 14A(b) provides for the conditions under which the Electoral Commission shall make these recommendations to the President. And I quote, Right Honorable Speaker, the Electoral Commission shall, before making recommendations to the President under subsection 3, consider the following factors, including A, in the case of a district, that there's a minimum population of 75,000 people. 2, a municipality that there is a minimum of 95,000 people. And in the case of a metropolis, that there is a minimum of 250,000 people. And B, Mr. Speaker, the geographical contiguity and economic viability of the area, namely the ability of an area to provide the basic infrastructure and other developmental needs from the monetary and other resources generated from the area. The above legal provision outlines clearly the criteria which an area is expected to satisfy before it is considered for the creation of a new district or upgraded to a new status. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes,
Mr. Speaker, provisional data from the Ghana Statistical Service indicate that the Bole district has about 115,800 people. Male is 59,903 and female is 55,897. Making reference to the minister's response, AII, where he's talking about the number of people, the population required for a municipality, with this information available to him, I'm very sure that the Bole district is qualified, has met this criteria. Will he consider recommending to the president, because he's the minister responsible for local government, to consider elevating the Bole district into a municipal status? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For the answer of our colleague, Mr. Speaker, at one of the places where we have a higher male population than female is in Bole. And in the answer, Mr. Speaker, I quoted Act 96, Section 1(2). It reads, the president may, by executive instrument, the president may. So, Mr. Speaker, it applies to Mr. President. I'm not aware that the body has applied for the status to be upgraded to a municipality. And the Act 96 clearly states that the president will refer to the electoral commission to go through the exercise. But I can assure the member that when such application is received, the necessary representations will be made to Mr. President for consideration. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful to the minister, but I want to also add that in his response point B, spoke about the economic viability of the area. And I want to put on record that the Bole district has a very fertile land for farming. We have rivers for fishing purposes. We have gold deposits. We have cash crops such as shade trees as well as cashew. We have a lot of markets in that area generating revenue. With this, I want to believe that the district has met the point B. And I want to find out once again if you give us a guideline as the minister responsible for local government, the procedure that the district will have to go through to become a municipal assembly. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I know that many districts and those who even want to have districts have applied to the office of Mr. President, and others have gone through the Ministry of Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development. And when such applications are received, as I said earlier, we also do send our recommendations. I can assure the honourable member that when we receive such an application, if he writes the application through us, that's through the ministry, we shall certainly make the appropriate recommendations to the office of Mr. President. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, the minister is making me happy this afternoon, and I can assure him that the chief of Bole and all the chiefs in that traditional area very soon will knock at your doors with our application. Mr. Speaker, you will realize that when you drove through that district, when you were going to Wa, you made a comment that that is very vast. I was thinking that you add your voice to my request so that as soon as the application is submitted, the minister responsible for local government, who is also part of my traditional area, he said, one, will fast track that and the people of Bole will be happy with him. Can he give us that assurance that once it is submitted, he will diligently fast track this for us? Thank you.
Honorable Member, I think you're asking him to give a comment on Mr. President's power. But what he has assured you is that if you bring the application, he will assist you. Maybe when you're going to knock at his door with your application, you add what you gave to me, some of that to him, when I pass through Bole. Honorable Minister, thank you for attending upon the House to answer questions. You are discharged. The next set of questions are to be answered by the Minister for Defense. Yes, Honorable Minister. Now, question number 382, standing in the name of the Honorable Member for Ashama, Ernest Henry Nogbe. Very well, I'll move on. If he comes, I'll give it to him. But in the meantime, yes, Honorable Chief Whip.
Mr. Speaker, once you give him the caveat, once he walks in, you give the opportunity. You can continue. Once we get him in.
You will ask him.
I'll get him in. I'll call him in.
Well, so that's why then I'll move on. If he comes,
yes, once you give him the caveat, that the opportunity will not be lost.
Right. I'll move to the next question. It's in the name of the Honorable Member for Tema East, Isaac Ashai Odampton. Kindly ask your question, please.
Right Honorable Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister of Defense what administrative and economic programs has the ministry outlined to provide sustainable welfare support for veterans in accord with their responsibility of the state as enshrined in the Act, in the VAT Act. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the government cherishes our military veterans and military widows, and therefore has taken steps to ensure and make the support for veterans more sustainable. The Ministry of Defense has taken steps to secure all lands allocated to the military Veterans Administration Ghana, and subsequently turn them into commercially viable projects. Mr. Speaker, for example, in Accra, the ministry is in the process of rolling out a VAC complex project. This project will involve the construction of hotels, banks, executive accommodation, conference centers, and commercial entities. The projects envisaged using the PPP model will be of great benefit to the Veterans Administration. The land being earmarked for this project is around the VAC headquarters and Ghana Immigration Service headquarters, measuring about 8 acres. in the heart of Accra. When completed, the project will be managed by a consortium, and income generated will be channeled to VAC sustainable support and welfare of veterans. As part of the program, VAC intends to cede 20 acres of land at Amasama Legion Village for the construction of a new and more spacious Ghana Immigration Headquarters. This will enable GIS to operate in its full capacity as headquarters with all the necessary facilities benefiting the status of a headquarters. Similar PP privileges are also being earmarked and rolled out in Kumasi and Tamale to generate sustainable income for the welfare of the military veterans and military widows. Mr. Speaker, the Veterans Administration Ghana Lotto, which was designed, which they call VAC Lotto, designed by the government to be an income generation program for the VAC until 2018, was not useful to VAC. However, since 2018, VAC, under the direction of the ministry, has re-engineered a new program with National Lotteries Authority. It is refreshing to state that this partnership with NLA is yielding meaningful dividends, including the acquisition of a brand new minibus for each region of the administration. It is envisaged that from the year 2023, the agreement will generate substantial revenue for VAC. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Defense is also facilitating the rehabilitation of the Amasama Legion Village Clinic into a polytechnic to care for the needs of the teeming military veterans. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Defense, through the Ghana Armed Forces Council, last year reviewed the salary and allowances of all personnel of the Ghana Armed Forces, which has positively affected the retirement benefits of personnel of the VAC as well. And in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Defense has also tasked the board of the Veterans Administration to come up with programs and policies for approval, which will provide sustainable welfare support for the members of VAC. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, honourable member.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Minister for indulging me and giving this response. But may I find out how soon or what timelines do we have for the projects, especially the Accra project? Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, the architectural drawings have been done. The land is actually for the VAC administration. We are in consultation with the Minister of Interior to move the GIS headquarters, which will be built for them for free as part of the project. The project approval has just passed through my table and it has been approved. I am hoping that by the middle of next year, we should begin to see real work on this particular project. It's very dear to the veterans, and so we are hoping that by the middle of next year, we should begin to see real work on the project, unless something were to come and cross and disturb it. Otherwise, if everything goes according to plan, by the middle of next year, we should begin to see some bit of work on the project. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As a follow-up, I take the assurance from the Minister of Defense that by middle next year, something practical will be on the ground as an assuring response. But whilst affirming that the GIS is sitting on VAC land, if that is so, why are we having to compensate them with 20-acre land and also do some infrastructural work for them in the bid to advance the cause of VAC? Thank you.
Yes, honourable.
Mr. Speaker, these are two state institutions, and it is important that when you are dealing with them, you deal with them with mutual respect. If you know the history of how VAC and GIS and then the Ghana Armed Forces came into Quanta, you will realize that all assets of the then bodyguard, the defunct bodyguard, most of them were transferred to GIS because the bodyguard were actually supposed to be the borders. And when GIS was created, we transferred some assets to them. It is the reason why GIS got into the VAC village, the VAC land in the first place. And moving them just by a fiat is not the way we believe we should handle the situation. That is why I said we are in consultation with the Minister of Interior to ensure that the GIS given a 20-acre land at Amasama, which is for the Veterans Administration, just by the road on the way to Kumasi. If you move a little bit just before the Sawan barrier, you see that where they can build them properly as part of this redevelopment, a proper headquarters befitting security service of the Republic of Ghana. So we are in consultations, and because of mutual respect, that's why the bank is not throwing them out, but ensuring that they capture them as part of this special project. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, your last follow-up question.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, thank you. In the Honorable Minister's response, the second, I think the third paragraph, he highlights the effectiveness of the VAG lottery since 2018. Mr. Speaker, may I find out from the Minister how much has been accrued from the VAG lottery and channeled towards VAG administration from the lottery? Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, if you remember lotteries like as original pay or lotteries like VAG Lotto and all those kind of lotto, they were doing their lotto on the back of VAG Lotto. There are three types of lotteries that we have: National Lotteries Authority, the Sports Lotto, and the VAG Lotto. Any other person is doing what we call bank-to-bank or illegal lotto operations. The VAG Lotto was subletted until 2018 when I changed the system to individuals. The individuals were expected to pay some money to VAG, and they never did. They were not doing it to VAG. So when we came, we decided that it was important for us rather to give the lotto operation to the National Lottery Authority. And National Lottery Authority was, from the first 2 years, to give them a minimum of 200,000 a year as income. And then as we roll into the fifth year, it will become $1 million Ghana cedi every year. So it changes according to the agreement that we signed. That's why I said that from 2023 to 2024, VAG will begin to see real substantial income coming to them. But the actual amount accruing to the lotto is National Lotteries Authority that will have that information, not me. Because we're giving them the operations, and then they give back monetary reward as part of they using their platform to do that work. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. The next question is in the name of the same honourable member, Tema East. You may ask question number 520.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I rise to ask the Minister for Defence the administrative requirement the admission requirement into the Veterans Administration Ghana and how the process engenders good service conduct. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, all soldiers, irrespective of their ranks on retirement, qualify to become members of the Veterans Administration Ghana, provided they were honorably released from the military. This requirement serves as a check on the conduct of serving soldiers. By so doing, soldiers would have to exhibit good character and discipline at all times to qualify to become members or qualify to be admitted into the club of veterans. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, again, I want to thank the Minister for his response. This question is important to me because in Tema East, we have the Eastern Naval Base. We also have Tema in many respects as a region when you are looking at the security architecture of the country. And so the security personnel in the country as a whole and specific for Tema must be, their conduct must engender that future expectations from the VAG administration for which reason they want to give the selfless service. The Navy, for example, would say they defend at sea at the peril of their lives, which means that they offer to serve the country at the peril of their life. And so, my follow-up question, what are we doing by way of advocacy or education for service personnel to look up to VAG administration, the benefits of VAG administration in the future, so they can exhibit good conduct? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes,
Mr. Speaker, his question was very specific, that what qualifies one to be a member of VAG. And I just said that you need to be of good behavior and to be released honorably from the armed forces before you qualify to be a member of VAG. If you were a criminal, for example, let me use that advisedly, or you were to commit a crime and you were removed from the armed forces for that, the VAG will not qualify you, as you will not qualify to be part of VAG. So I am saying that soldiers, part of the reasons why this is done is to serve as a check, because the armed forces, Mr. Speaker, is governed by discipline. And for a soldier, discipline is a catchword. And it is important that the soldiers are disciplined, they are good conduct, and they serve their nation to the best of their ability. That's why you say that it's no retreat, no surrender, and that they will rather die than surrender, or that they will serve the nation to the peril of their lives. And so every soldier looks up to that, because you are expected to defend the nation, whether the bullet is coming to you or moving away from you. Your job is to defend the nation. And for you to qualify to be a member of the Veterans Administration, you must be of good conduct, and you must have been released honorably. If you were not released honorably, they will not accept you. We as a government, or Ghana, must ensure that members of VAG are given that due recognition and respect, just as it's been done everywhere. So in the near future, we are expecting to give them, even though they have the ID card, we are expecting to give them some unique ID card that will qualify them to certain facilities that you and me, when we retire, will not have those facilities. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you for the opportunity to ask these questions, and to thank the Minister of Defense for his responses. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable, question number 731. Honorable Member for Norton, Samuel Okuje Tabla.
I'm most grateful, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to ask the Honorable Minister for Defense the nature of the steps the Ministry has initiated to purchase a new presidential jet, as announced by Director of Communications at the Presidency, Mr. Eugene Ahim, on 27 September 2021, and what is the policy justification for the purchase of a new presidential jet? I thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, the Ghana Air Force has indeed written to the Minister for Defense to procure for the use of government business the main aircraft for the communications squadron of the Ghana Air Force. The policy and strategy of the Ghana Air Force has been to maintain a minimum of 2 fixed-wing aircraft, which consist of a main aircraft, which is a wide-body aircraft, and supporting aircraft that are required to undertake thorough and effective government business. Mr. Speaker, hitherto, the Ghana Air Force operated Fokker 28 executive jet as the main aircraft, and Fokker 27 as the supporting aircraft until the year 2010, when both aircrafts were decommissioned. Currently, the Ghana Air Force has the supporting aircraft, which is the Fokker 19 executive jet, but lacks the main wide-body aircraft, which it needs for all government business. Mr. Speaker, in the absence of the wide-body aircraft, the Ghana Air Force has temporarily been using the CASA 295 to fill in for the shortfalls and gaps created by the non-availability of the specific aircraft designed for these tasks. It must be noted, however, that the CASA 295 is not suitable for government business in view of its design and features, which makes it a pure military aircraft. Until the government acquires a wide-body aircraft for the Ghana Air Force, the tax assigned to the Ghana Air Force will continue to face major challenges and difficulties because of the limitations are enumerated above. Mr. Speaker, however, consultations are ongoing with government, parliament, religious bodies and trade unions on the purchase of a new aircraft for the Ghana Air Force and Ghana Navy ships to enable the Ghana Armed Forces effectively defend our nation and carry out their duties as we expect. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, since this is a House of Records, I want to draw attention, and I believe the Honorable Minister will agree with me, that the second paragraph of the response, the way FOCA 28 has been captured, it should be F-O-K-K-E-R, FOCA, and not FOLCA. It's not an L, but a K. That is the proper rendition. The Dutch company is FOCA. So if our records will reflect the accurate rendition. Mr. Speaker, my first supplementary question is taken from the first paragraph of the Honorable Minister's response. He indicates that they have received a letter from the Ghana Air Force, and that is what is triggering this whole process. I want to find out from the Honorable Minister when this letter was received and what are the cost estimates contained in that letter from the Ghana Air Force.
Mr. Speaker, the Ghana Air Force has been in discussion with my office for the last 1 year. But I asked them to submit a formal letter in September this year. And in October, a formal letter was submitted to my office. Mr. Speaker, the Ghana Air Force does not determine the cost of the aircraft. The cost is determined when government has made the decision to purchase the aircraft and selected the vendor. The vendor will then bring the cost to us. All they have asked for is that we need a wide-body aircraft to do government business. You are sophisticating us. When I contacted both Boeing and Airbus, they told me that it will take about 3 years for them to be able to deliver a new aircraft to Ghana. What it simply means is that if I were to make a decision today and government were to have money for the Ministry of Defense to purchase an aircraft, the lead time for an aircraft to arrive will be the first quarter of 2025. This current president will not sit in that aircraft as president. He may sit as ex-president, but never sit as president. So that is where we are today, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, my second supplementary question is from the last paragraph of the Honorable Minister's response. He tells this House, quote, Mr. Speaker, consultations are ongoing with government. Government appears to be consulting amongst itself. Consultations are ongoing with government. Then he adds Parliament, religious bodies, trade unions on the purchase of the aircraft. Consultations ongoing. But Mr. Speaker, if you come to consider the statement issued by the Communications Director at the Presidency, Mr. Eugene Ahim. He said categorically that government is in the process of acquiring a bigger aircraft for presidential travels. He continues, government is already in the process of acquiring a bigger jet for use. Mr. Ahim was answering a question on whether the government intended buying a bigger aircraft to accommodate the president and his entourage on official foreign trips, as the current presidential jet had proven inadequate for the purpose. He explained that the move to get a bigger fit-for-purpose aircraft was part of a cost-saving measure on the travels of the president and other key state functionaries. Mr. Ahim did not give the specifics of the aircraft deal, but said the defense minister will shed light on the development at the appropriate time, unquote. So, the Director of Communications is categorical that you are in the process of acquiring, meaning that the decision has been made. The decision has been made. Now you are telling us that you are now doing consultations. Can you reconcile the two positions? They are not the same. They cannot be the same.
Honourable members, order.
Can the Honourable Defence Minister reconcile the two positions?
Honourable members, can we hold on? Yes, Honourable.
Mr. Speaker, my colleague, the Honourable Okunjeto, knows the rules of this House. Your task is to ask questions. You go into arguments. Consultations and these ones are not the same. The minister knows that they are not the same. You are entering into the arena of argumentation. You know that. Mr. Speaker, I'll request that you ask him to direct the question appropriately, formulate the question appropriately. Otherwise, I'll invite you to rule this question out of order. For breach of the terms of the established by the standing orders, which you should know.
Honourable, kindly frame your question such that the minister can answer from his personal or official knowledge.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I hope you protect members from the intimidation tactics of the majority leader. I mean, you should allow members to do their work. Mr. Speaker, the question is simple. How does the Honourable Minister for Defence reconcile his answer with the statement put out by the Communications Director? He says that the processes have begun to acquire. You are telling the House that you are now doing consultation. So can you please reconcile? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, when you begin to acquire assets for the Ghana Armed Forces, including the Air Force, you make consultations. He is aware that the Ghana Armed Forces have made consultations with Parliament, and we are continuing to make consultations with Parliament. Mr. Speaker, as is also aware that the Ghana Armed Forces is continuing to make consultation with both government and outside civil society, outside government. So consultations are part of the processes of acquiring the aircraft. So when the communication director says that we have begun the processes, he's correct. The process has been triggered by the military. That jet is owned by the military on behalf of Ghana. It's for government business. And the consultations will continue until such a time that the Minister for Defence is satisfied that the people of Ghana, whether through Parliament, the executive, as well as the people themselves, have been able to convince themselves that buying a ship to defend us or buying an aircraft to be able to do government business is something that we can afford, and indeed we need. But Mr. Speaker, I want to confirm that all of us, from the indication I get from all the consultations, is that it is paramount, especially because we do not have Ghana Airways, it is paramount to have an aircraft that can do government business. Mr. Speaker, the logbook of the CASA 295, which is a pure military aircraft, is so full that it is not safe for us to continue to rely on the military to be using a pure military aircraft to be ferrying government officials. And government officials include members of parliament. In fact, one of the bodies that use the military aircraft is MPs. If you check the records, the members of parliament use the military aircraft more than any other single organization. And I'm saying that when you say presidential jet, Mr. Speaker, I have said it and I'll continue to say that there is nothing called presidential jet. There are only two countries in the world that have a presidential jet. One is the United States of America. Only the president uses that jet. The decision that was made in 2005 to take an aircraft that can take a maximum of 11 people and then 15 people on short haul journeys is the one that has limited that aircraft to the use of only the president. If we have an aircraft that can carry 50 people and the Black Stars are going to play football in South Africa, they will use that aircraft. Today, the Black Stars are spending millions of dollars chartering aircraft. When countries that have such aircraft like Senegal are using their executive aircraft to ferry their footballers around. Mr. Speaker, let me give an example. The Ghana Armed Forces. Mr. Speaker, the Ghana Armed Forces, today, we carry more than 1,000 soldiers to Lebanon. If you have an aircraft that is owned by the military that can carry close to 70 people, that is the aircraft that we use today. We pay in excess of 4 to 5 million Ghana cedi every year just ferrying only soldiers across only Lebanon. And I think that we should look at it again. So the consultations are ongoing, and when the time is right, I will come, as I said, to this house, and then come and bring whatever documents I'll need to bring for us as a people to take a decision. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, your last follow-up question.
Mr. Speaker, before my final supplementary question, I just thought that this being a house of records, the records in this house will show that Ghana has had 4 presidential jets. The Falcon is our 4th presidential jet. So the minister cannot be right when he says that we don't have presidential jets. The first presidential jet is a DH-125 under President Nkrumah. Fokker 28 was the second. Gulfstream GII was the third. And this, the Falcon 900 EXE is the 4th presidential jet, just for the record.
Yes, kindly ask your question.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, my final question is what I will call the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo doctrine on purchasing presidential jets. And if you permit me, Mr. Speaker, I intend to read from the records of this House, 15 February 2000, the Hansard on Parliamentary Debates, column 1653. Third paragraph, Nana Akufo-Addo, MPP, Ebuako. I quote with your permission, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this debate. It is good to see that the Minister and his spin doctor, the Minister of Communications, are both here to listen to us on this matter. Mr. Speaker, I intend to limit my intervention to 2 main issues. Already, my honorable colleague, the member for Offenso North, Dr. K.K. Apreku, has in his usual powerful presentation alerted us to the sensitivity of this transaction, that at a time when there is a crying need for greater public investment in our social services, in our health system, at a time when the students are crying for an increase of public expenditure on tertiary education, they are met with a cry that there is no money, but the president is entitled to have spent for himself $90 million over the next 5 years on this aircraft. Mr. Speaker, if anything demonstrates the need that has been consistently urged from this side of the House for us to review and prioritize public expenditure, this case justifies that call. I have no doubt, Mr. Speaker, that if the priorities are spelled out properly, the purchase of an executive jet will come very low down on the scale of priorities, unquote. This is the Akufo-Addo doctrine, which is a record of this House. Can the Honorable Defense Minister tell us that in the case of current challenges, in the midst of a pandemic and the economic crisis we face, should you be having consultations on purchasing a new presidential jet in light of the Nana Akufo-Addo doctrine, which I have just read out to you?
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as I said, Ghana doesn't have a presidential jet, we have executive jet. That's why when you are reading, the current president at that time used the word executive jet. Executive jet does not mean for the sole use of the president. In America, no other person can use Air Force One apart from the president and the vice. Even with the vice doesn't use, it's the president who uses Air Force One. So we have an executive jet. And I'm saying to you that executive jet is used to do government business. And that is the qualification. And there are 5 categories of government business. One is GH001, President. GH002, Vice. GH003, Speaker and the members, senior members of Parliament. And GH005, that is for the other members of the executive, including chief directors, including other people. So this aircraft, as I'm saying, is an executive aircraft, not presidential aircraft. I just want to correct that. But Mr. Speaker, as I said, Akufo-Addo, this current president, if we were to purchase this jet, will not use it. That's the first thing I want you to know. Secondly, I also want you to know that I said consultations are ongoing, including consultations with members of parliament. When those consultations are completed, I will come back to this house to let you know whether those consultations have arrived as a positive answer or a negative answer. Don't conclude for me. I am the one who is taking those decisions in consultation with government. If you are reading somebody else's statement who didn't make it in this house, that is your own headache. But as far as I am concerned, I, the Minister for Defense, I am saying the consultations are ongoing. And when those consultations are positive, I will come to this house with the agreements. If they are not positive, I will not come. It's as simple as that. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, from the response from the minister, I just want to ask you, does it mean that this decision to buy the aircraft is coming from him or from government?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, the procedure is very simple. The Ghana Air Force will write to the minister, and the minister will consult other, including the government. When that decision is made, When that decision is made, ultimately, before it comes to this house, it will be made by cabinet. But it is the Minister for Defense who will take it to cabinet and justify why there is a need for it. That's what I am saying to you, that the initial decision to take it to cabinet is mine. It's not the communication director or the president. And I've said to you that I'm making the consultations. And if the consultations are right, you'll see me back in this house. But as I stand today, I am making the consultations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I want to find out from the Minister for Defense, as Ghana's Minister for Defense, with oversight of our armed forces, Navy, and Air Force, with all the security challenges we have, is the purchase of another wide-body executive jet, in your consideration, the priority purchase of an aircraft for our Air Force?
It's all right. You have answered that question already. Very well. The last question is Mr. 382, Honorable Member for Ashaman.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to ask the Minister for Defense the outcome so far of the investigation into the killing of one Mr. Eric Ofochu by a military officer in March 2020 during lockdown in Ashama constituency. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, in March 2020, the Ghana Armed Forces, together with its sister security services, were tasked to enforce a lockdown rule when COVID-19 broke out in this country. During the exercise, an individual called Mr. Eric Ofochu was killed during a struggle with the military personnel. The initial investigation by the military police confirmed that the individual, Mr. Eric Ofochu, attempted to wrestle a weapon from a soldier and died in the process. Since the case is a homicide case, the civil police has the duty to investigate same and has since been investigating the incident. Mr. Speaker, currently, a comprehensive investigation is being carried out by the Ghana Police on the criminal aspect of the case. The Ministry of Defense, and for that matter, the Ghana Armed Forces, are still awaiting the report from the Ghana Police Service to enable us to take the necessary action if so be. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. In the Minister's answer, paragraph 2, he suggested that the death occurred during the struggle of a weapon. I want to ask the Minister, how does an attempt to rescue a weapon from a soldier necessarily leads to death as provided in that paragraph? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I said the investigation by the Ghana military police concluded that the individual attempted to wrestle the weapon from the military officer, and in the process, the gun went off and killed the person. But the civil police is investigating the entire matter, and we don't have the report yet. But their investigation said that the person attempted to wrestle a weapon from the soldier, and the gun went off. It's very, very possible. Also, I'm surprised. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. As the Minister is suggesting that there's a report, can that report be made public? And what are the recommendations in that report? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Can you publish the...
Honorable is asking that from your answer, there appears to be some report. What are the recommendations in that report? Would you like to make it public?
Mr. Speaker, the report of the Ghana police supersedes that of the military police. It is not in the interest of the military in particular, of any country, to do internal investigation for their own sake and shame the public. It's never been done anywhere. So let the Ghana police report come out. If it contradicts that, then the military will use their report to defend themselves, or the military officer has the right to defend himself. Because in Ghana, you are innocent until proven guilty. So it's a homicide case. Let the police do the investigation and come out with their but their initial report was for themselves, and they concluded that the officer, the gentleman, attempted taking the weapon from the soldier, and in the process, the trigger went off and he died.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes. I want to ask the Minister whether he's basing his answer on the report or the investigation from the military police, or is waiting for the police service to conclude the investigation before any action will be taken. Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I do not want to disappoint my colleague. I could have told him that it's the police who are investigating, so the Minister for Interior will answer his question. But I'm saying to you, and it's of your interest if you listen, that the initial report from the military themselves said that this is what has happened. He attempted taking a gun, and in the process the gun went off. But the police are investigating that. Until the police completes their investigation, I have very, very little to say. So I am not basing my report on that. I'm basing my report on facts. And the facts are that the military have done their investigation and concluded in a certain way, and the police are doing their investigation. These are the facts that I'm putting to you. I'm not basing my report on anything, but the facts as they have been presented to me to be presented to you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The said officer, the officer who was involved in this incident, is he currently at post, or he's been interdicted while investigations are going on at the civil level?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, once the military have concluded that he acted in line with their service regulations, he will be unless the police charge him. So he's working. If the police were to find something different and charge him, that's a different matter. But as long as with the military, once the military police concludes that in line with their own investigation, you have done nothing wrong, you will continue to do your work. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Before we conclude. Yes, Tamalinov.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to find out from the Minister if I am right, based on his answer, that there seem not to be clear protocols of working together with the police and the military in providing security, to the extent that an incident like that had happened and the military police have done an investigation that they are keeping to use to defend themselves after the police investigation, when they were supposed to have been working together in providing security on the street.
Yeah.
It leaves me confused.
So is there a protocol?
What are the protocols of working together to provide security on the street, such that when an incident like that happens, the military will first have to conduct a report that they will keep to be used to defend themselves in case the police investigation indicts them?
You're
Thank
making an argument. Can you restrict yourself to a question? Yes, did you get a question?
Mr. Speaker, as I said, the military is an individual. If he's charged by the police, he has to defend himself. I didn't say the military defending themselves. I said the individual has to defend himself. That's a different thing. And you said, if you are right, you are not right. That's not what I said. So the rest of the questions don't follow. But, Mr. Speaker, the police and the military have always worked together to defend this nation. But if you are alleged to have committed a crime, it does not absolve you from investigation. And the only body, rightly so, who can investigate and take you to the court is the police. The AG can also ask the police to do that on his behalf. Today, we now have special prosecutor who can also do that. But I'm saying in this case, the military did their own investigation, which is the normal routine. When a military officer is alleged to have committed a crime, the military will first do an initial investigation, take immediate action before they will hand him over to the civil police if they so deem that you have committed a crime. It is a normal process that the military go through. If you are a military officer and you commit a crime, the military will immediately, through the military police, investigate you and then determine what it is before they will move on and the police will carry on. But it doesn't mean that the police are not concurrently doing their work. The police were there. They, together with the military, picked the body to 37 military hospitals. So they started the investigation. And so they worked together to give us security. Don't ever think that the military and the police have never worked together. They will continue to work together. They will continue to give us security. And they are giving us the best security we have seen in years. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Weapons are supposed to be held in safety position. I want to know from the minister if at the time the struggle was going on, the weapon was in life or what?
Honourable Member, you kindly ask your own question. This is different from the question that was asked. It's not a follow-up. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the Honourable Minister, in the light of service, honourable service expected of our armed forces, may I find out from the Minister whether an event that occurred per his answer in the first paragraph, March of 2020, over a year ago, almost 2 years, there has not been finality to the investigations. My worry is, how do we bridge the society or the citizens' trust in the military, the civilian trust in the military, if the military is not taking steps to assure the people after this incident occurred as far back as March 2020. Thank you.
Yes. Speaker, some homicide cases can take 30 years to complete. Some homicide cases can take 30 years to be able to come to a finality. Some can take as quick as 5 days to come to a finality. I think that we should give the police the due respect and allow them to carry out their investigation. The military are a body just like any other body in Ghana. They are not above the law. So if a military officer is alleged to have committed a crime, the police will investigate it and come out with their reports. So I don't know what you want the military to do again. They submitted themselves to the investigation, and that's the best they can do, and they're investigating them. When the police were to come out with their facts, then they will either charge the person or not charge the person. But as for civil-military relationship, there is a whole unit of the armed forces that is dealing in that, and they do their best to ensure that that civil-military relationship is there. Because at the end of the day, they defend you and defend me. When there is a fight or somebody is attacking this country, it is them who will face the bullet for you and myself. And that's why in America, the military is held in high esteem. And we believe that you do hold the military in high esteem in Ghana as well. Because they die for you. And they share their blood for you. Both at sea and in the air. When there's a conflict, you call the military. Some of them die in the process. They have families just like you and myself. But they will not do anything to disadvantage anybody in Ghana. They will submit themselves to investigation just like any other person. And that's what this has, in this case, what it has been done. But like I said, they will do an internal investigation quickly to ascertain the case, the facts of the case. And this is what they have said. As for the criminal aspect of it, it is the police who will conclude their investigation. So we are waiting for the police to conclude their investigation. Like I said, sometimes it can take 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Once the police are able to conclude their investigation, they will come out with the facts as they are. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Honourable Speaker, I want to ask Mr. Minister, so what is the current situation of the said officer? Is he still in service? No. Is he under interdiction? You answered it. Is he under interdiction? Is he still under interdiction? You've answered it.
That question has been answered. Honourable Minister, thank you for attending upon the House to answer questions. You are discharged. Yes. Is there a question in sports? A statement. Oh, very well. Very well. Yes. A statement towards the United National Support for Black Stars 2020 AFCON campaign in Cameroon. Yes, Honorable Minister for Youth and Sports.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to make a statement towards a united national support for the Blaster 2022 AFCON campaign in Cameroon. Mr. Speaker, in less than a month, precisely from the 9th January to 9th February 2022, Ghana will be at the war front where the Blaster will pitch itself with the rest of Africa in the 2022 AFCON with a dream to see the Blaster end the 40-year drought of the Continental Trophy. Mr. Speaker, this dream of ours can only be realized through a united approach to the tournament. Mr. Speaker, in view of this, permit me to use this opportunity to rally support for the Blaster as they engage in another attempt to lift the trophy for the 5th time. Mr. Speaker, since 2008, when Ghana hosted the AFCON, the Blaster have come so close on many occasions to lift the trophy. Mr. Speaker, the team made it to the semi-finals in 2008, qualified for the 2010, and lost to the winners Egypt by a lone goal. They made it to the semi-finals again in 2012 and 2013, and got to the final again in 2015, and lost it to Ivory Coast on penalties. In 2017, Ghana lost to Cameroon in the semi-finals. It is quite obvious from the above that the Blaster have always come close to winning the trophy. Mr. Speaker, the wind of politics blowing through many aspects of our life has in recent times permeated to our football, leaving the country divided even when the national team are at the war front. And as we know, no nation can win a battle or a war without a united and tenacity of purpose. It is precisely the reason why I stand here today to call for unity and support for our national team. Mr. Speaker, I entreat all of us and all Ghanaians, regardless of party and religious affiliation, to rally behind our national team as they embark on another AFCON journey next month in Cameroon. Mr. Speaker, let me use this opportunity to announce to the country how much so far we have raised from the special presidential fundraising campaign for the Blaster and other national teams. It may be recalled that His Excellency President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, invited corporate Ghana to a breakfast meeting in order to raise $25 million to support government funding of our various national teams, especially the Blasters. So far, corporate Ghana has supported us to raise an amount of $2 million. And I want, on behalf of His Excellency the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, thank all those who have fulfilled their pledges. And I also want to use this opportunity to appeal to those who are yet to fulfill their pledges to do so, because we have so many upcoming international competition for our national teams. As I have often said, Mr. Speaker, there is direct relationship between sponsorship or corporate support and excellent performance of our national teams, especially the Blasters. Mr. Speaker, when Goldface Ghana decided to invest in the national team, it reflected on output, and the Blaster qualified for the Ghana's maiden senior men FIFA World Cup in 2006. Subsequently, support by other companies, including GMPC, resulted in excellent performance, including the 2010 World Cup in South Africa, which the Blaster narrowly missed the semi-final. Mr. Speaker, I therefore wish to again appeal to corporate support to come on board and support our national team, especially as we seek to make history again in 2022. Mr. Speaker, next year will be a busy year to our national team with several major tournaments in sight. The AFCON in Cameroon, as well as FIFA World Cup in Qatar, the Under-20 Women World Cup in Costa Rica, the Under-17 Women World Cup in India, qualifiers for 2023 AFCON and Commonwealth Games in Birmingham. We want to make history as a country, and we can achieve this collectively as a citizen and corporate citizen. A victory for our national team is a victory for Ghana and not any particular group. I wish to, in a special way, congratulate the Black Stars for their qualification for the AFCON and their impressive performance so far in the World Cup qualifier campaign. I wish to commend the Ghana Football Association for the manner in which they have steered the affairs of the Black Star and other national teams, and I want to encourage them to not to relent on their battle until it is won. Mr. Speaker, I believe the Black Star have what it takes to end the 40-year AFCON trophy drought, but that can only be realized if the team effort is complemented by a collective national support. Finally, Mr. Speaker, it is my humble plea to all Ghanaians to pray for our national team to win the favor of God Almighty Allah, so that comes 2022, our national team, the Black Star, will crown the day. Thank you so much. May God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong. I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker.
Me first, then I'll come to you. I'll start with me and I'll come to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. And I want to thank my colleague, the Honourable Minister for Youth and Sports, for his wonderful appeal. Many a time I have said that the only thing that unites this country is sports. And I said it is important that when it comes to the issue of sports, as much as possible as a country, we put aside our partisan politics. Over the years, our national team has suffered because we have tended to play politics with our national team, especially when it comes to the issue of mobilizing support.
Honourable Member, hold on. Yes, Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, my colleague on the other side said the only thing that can unite Ghanaians is sports. Mr. Speaker, I wonder whether that same is true.
Well, that's an opinion.
The only thing.
That is his opinion.
Is it one of or only?
Not the only thing.
Mr. Speaker,
I don't remember, that's his opinion. It's entitled to it.
Mr. Speaker, I think I said that I've always maintained that the only thing, so it's my personal opinion. Sure.
Beyond that,
the partisan politics have always.
You don't think Kinke unites us? You don't think Kinke unites us? Kinke.
Since you don't like Kinke too much, I don't think it's true.
Not you know I don't like Kinke.
Honourable Bawa says since the Minister of Finance decided to introduce KK into his loan portfolio, he has stopped eating KK. Let's look at the truth of the matter is that one of the key things, if you look at 2006 and 2010 World Cup qualifiers and the World Cup itself, there was a conscious effort to depoliticize the support for the national team. And this worked good. But over the period, we've seen elements of political intrigues into even the organization of the support base for the national team. And this always affects, because when one particular side of the country or the support of the national team feels that they are being left out, it becomes difficult for them to support. Mr. Speaker, from my experience in football, one of the key things is the fact that when a team feels that all are behind them, it tends to lift them spiritually. But when they have a sense that a particular section of the society do not like them, spiritually they go down. And I want to say that this statement coming from the minister at this time is opportune, it's right, it's timeous, and I think it's important that we look at it from that perspective. But As we do that, I want to call on those who are managing the game, managing the team, that as we prepare towards the Cup of Nations in February, they must give the whole country a sense of nationalism towards the national team. If it will happen that we are organizing supporters to go and cheer them on, partisanship must not be the basis. We must organize ourselves in such a way that the whole nation will swarm behind the team. The other side, I want to say that realistically, Mr. Speaker, we must tell the handlers of our national team that it is not about having a team called Blasters. It's about genuinely picking the people who will do well for this country. The Honourable Minister and I have worked together for some time now, always going to Cape Coast to support the national team whenever they are playing. But right there, he will agree with me that sometimes the way a manner is handled is not the best. So I want to appeal to him on this nationalistic call to make sure that he further enhances his consultation with all manner of people who love the game, irrespective of their political affiliation, their religious or social backgrounds, so that together we can organize the sort of support that the Blasters will need in order to make the impact and break the 40 and not the 8. It's important, Mr. Speaker, because Ghana to have been without a trophy, and as he enumerated, we've come close on several occasions. There's a little that we need to be able to go through, and I'm sure when we do the right things, we'll be able to achieve what we have been dreaming about for the national team and all other national teams, just as our Azakes ladies did recently, making us proud at the Africa Club Championship. It's important that if the Azakes ladies had been House of Folk ladies or Kotoko ladies, we would have seen the factionalism. But because it was Azakes ladies, we didn't see it. So I'm hoping that the supporters who will be going for a national team to support them will not be looked in the faces of whether they are red, white, blue, or they are green, white, black, and red. Whether their flag are Dutch flag or they are Palestinian flags. But then they will be holding the flag red, gold, green, and a black star. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for this opportunity to contribute to the statements made by the Honourable Minister for Youth, Sports and Culture. Mr. Speaker, in his statement, he made mention of corporate bodies supporting sports in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, corporate bodies are profit-oriented organizations, and supporting sports in Ghana, especially sports development, it takes something out of their kitty. Mr. Speaker, it is important that as a house or as Ghanaians, we look at the option of giving companies that support sports properly or with funds a little bit of incentives that will encourage them to do more, incentives that will encourage others to also learn from them and contribute. Mr. Speaker, that notwithstanding, the World Cup has eluded, and in fact not just the World Cup and the African Cup has eluded Ghana for the past 30 years. It's not because we don't have the raw talent, but it's because we've not been able to develop the talent properly. We've not invested over the years in our junior sports, in our coach football, and in our school sports. Mr. Speaker, the host for the 2020 World Cup, which is Qatar, has invested heavily in the game of football in the last 20 years with an academy called Aspire. The Aspire Academy has trained competent sportsmen
And Qatar in 2020 as host nation is aiming to host and win. It is for us as Ghana, and especially through our youth ministry, to also do the same. Mr. Speaker, going forward, sports development and sports infrastructure development cannot be done by government alone, and that there's a need for a PPP form of arrangement between corporate bodies, companies, business people, so that sports will develop. But that notwithstanding, the government led by His Excellency the President of the Republic in the last 4 years has developed about 10 youth centers and AstroTurf pitches all over the country to help in this regard by increasing the amount of infrastructure that we have for sports in Ghana. But Mr. Speaker, it's not just football. There are lesser known sports that need attention. Table tennis, cricket, basketball. Some of them, the cost for infrastructure development are not as high as football, and that would urge the minister to also look at investing or seeking investment for these lesser known sports. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I thank you for the opportunity.
Honorable. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the statement ably made by the Minister for Youth and Sports. The Speaker, football has always been the pulse of this nation. It has always been a unifying factor and has propelled the nation very far in the recognition of who we are as a nation throughout the world. And for the Black Stars making Ghanaians proud, there's a historical documentation about it. We won the African Cups in 1963, we won it in 1965, and we won it again in 1982. And on many occasions, we got to the finals, and haven't been able to get to the pinnacle of it. But in all these situations, Ghanaians are unified behind the Black Stars, hoping and praying that we would always go far and lead Africa. Unfortunately, we can't always get it as it is. But I believe with commitment and hard work, with determination and with good leadership, Mr. Speaker, I believe that we can always make it. And I'm happy that today the minister has come forward to make this statement. And from his body posture and his pronouncement, I have the impression that he is committed enough to take us to a very far level, maybe to win the next Cup of Nations. Mr. Speaker, the painful thing is that many people think that because of the Black Stars, because of football, the Ministry of Youth and Sports is a very rich ministry. I have been there before, and I have seen the pain and misery when you are a Minister of Youth and Sports, with little resources, inadequate allocations to the ministry, and even the small allocated resources to the ministry, how to extract it from the Ministry of Finance has always been a battlefield. Mr. Speaker, I want to call on the Ministry of Youth and Ministry of Finance to take this project as a very important project, because football, as my good friend Honorable Van der Poel has said, is a uniting factor, and he thinks that is the only factor that can unite Ghanaians. And if this is true, Mr. Speaker, it's good that we should work towards it. I think that it is important that for the minister to be able to achieve the maximum in this enterprise, he will have to work very closely with the sports management body, the Black Stars. The Black Stars is an independent body, doesn't belong to the ministry, it's elected representation, but it has direct contacts in how to win the cup, in how to manage management to ensure that there is positive results at the end of it all. And so, whether you like it or not, this is a group you will need to work with. And my advice to the minister is that he should find a way of working with them so closely that they can have closer understanding of exactly what is happening, so that we can all be happy when we see the Black Stars streaming and working towards the process to become winners of the African Cups this year. Very soon, we are going to begin seeing them play. And we have the goodwill. He has the goodwill of the nation. And after the goodwill of the nation, you have to get your reporters, the media to work towards achieving the maximum for you. I got to a situation where, in working with the satellite, I got to the point where I had to get the press to understand that the players are not perfect, and that being imperfect, they have their faults. And so those faults cannot be reported at the time they are critically working hard to victory. So you may need to work also with the press to make sure there's positive reportage and encouragement of the team, so they can always work forward, look forward to victory. Mr. Speaker, I also think that corporate Ghana, like he said, must be contacted in a way that will enable confidence that what monies they are putting in there will yield results, and that is not going to be any bad report about money going in and passing the other way around and not being utilized for the purpose for which people are contributing money. And so that confidence must have to be shown in how you relate with them, so that in the end you can have people coming out to give money, believing that the money is going to be used for the purpose for which they are giving it, and that hopefully we can win as a result. Mr. Speaker, I think that we will all need to support the Ministry of Youth and Sports at this time. It is something that we can avoid, because we know that this is a very critical time for Ghana. We are sharply divided. The people of Ghana has done it so. And so for every single situation that arises as a result of a debate on this floor, there is a division that normally you would find it, Mr. Speaker himself will find it difficult to resolve. But when it comes to football, I believe we can all rise and say that we are Ghanaians and we are moving toward unity of purpose and winning a cup. So this is a very important initiative, but it all depends on the leadership of the ministry. And that's why I'm asking you, through the leader in parliament, you can youth and sports, so the Minister of Finance will release money for you. But I'm not saying you should be as Honorable Chairman will behave on the floor, because as a Minister for Youth and Sports, you must be tolerant and able to speak. And when you do so, don't try to and secure any victory. Allow people to talk and absorb it without attacking them or without defending so aggressively that you'll be identified.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Dr. Rashid Kefu is talking to issues of sports. And then he's dragging my name into this, his own contribution by inferring that I'm intolerant of other people's ideas. Mr. Speaker, that's the obvious inference, that I don't allow people to speak in the House. I don't have that charge. I don't have that charge at all. So, Mr. Speaker, let him continue to make his submissions without making these tangential references to me in such unhallowed manner. My name should be protected. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I don't intend portraying him in any bad manner, but I know he was a very aggressive opposition leader, and even as a leader now, on the majority side, he still showed the same level of aggression. That's just what I'm saying. If you are Minister of Youth and Sports and you are like that, you are in trouble. Because, this one too.
I haven't recognized him, but you have said that. I hope you are going to conclude so that.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, I therefore want to conclude by saying that even though I admire the level of aggression. I'm just advising the minister, to be accommodating, not to be an aggressive leader, like an opposition leader. Just allow space so that we can have a lot of input in advising you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable.
I was trying to catch your eyes. Mr. Speaker, with respect to my colleague, I take a strong exception to that description. To describe me as aggressive. Mr. Speaker, people who know me know that I'm far from that. If he says that I'm assertive, I am indeed assertive. I don't allow pedestrianism to infiltrate the debate in Parliament. Say I'm assertive, not aggressive. Mr. Speaker, so he must make that distinction between a person being assertive. I'm not aggressive. I'm not aggressive. People who know me know that I'm not. With respect to you, Mr. Speaker, that is the point I wanted to make to my colleague.
Yes, Honorable Leader. He says substitute. Aggressive. After all, he hasn't taken the speaker's chair.
That's actually the word.
Did you hear that?
People can be aggressively assertive, and that's what I mean.
Yeah, you say you are aggressively assertive. That is acceptable. I said you have not taken the speaker's chair, so you haven't reached that level of aggression. No. Yes, Leader, I'll come to you, but I've got a female contributor and I'd like to hear her.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. In paragraph 20 of the minister, he actually appealed to Ghanaians to pray ceaselessly for the national team to win the favor of the Almighty God. Mr. Speaker, yes, we will pray fervently for the teams to bring us the cup. But I also have an advice for him and his coaches that you don't go into the tournament with an injured player. You don't go with players that are not disciplined. So that will mean that when we are praying and they are also doing what they deserve to do, training hard, very hard, discipline, not challenging the referees and all that, it is only then that the Almighty God will listen and make our prayer come true. On that note, we wish them the very best, and then we are eager to come back home with the trophy. Right, Honourable Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity.
Yes. You were on your feet first. Yes.
I thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. And I thank you for giving me the opportunity to support the statement made by the able sports minister. Indeed, football is the passion of the nation. In 2010, Ghana was the star of Africa. In 2014, Ghana was the star for Africa. In all these stages, the Ghana Black Stars performed very well. They showed the whole world that yes, they are the beacon of Africa. It is therefore that the sports minister today is calling on all of us to back the Black Stars ahead of their AFCON competition. And Mr. Speaker, let me associate myself with the minister's statement, item number 18, paragraph 18, where he congratulates the Black Stars and the Ghana Football Association for a good job done. Yes, we have raised the issues, as they are saying. The players must train. The players must do what is right. But above all, we must also show commitment to the Black Stars. That is why we are here today, as stated by the minister, that we are ready to break the 40-year AFCON drought. And we can only do that if all of us come together as a nation to support the Ghana Black Stars to win the AFCON in 2022. The minister went ahead to call on corporate entities to come to the aid of the Black Stars. And Mr. Speaker, I will also appeal to my colleagues here to support this call. Indeed, each and every member of this House has some of influence and has some corporate entities that they can talk to, or they have an affiliate to, that can come to the aid of the Black Stars. And I therefore wish that we all will put aside our political colors, our race, our religion, and put on the Ghana flag to support the Ghana Black Stars in this quest. Mr. Speaker, let me thank the minister for this statement and once again call on all Parliament to support this clarion call. I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
The leader, I was going to give him the final word. He said he wanted to quote me, but he's left. So you're the ranking member on sports, right? So I'll give you the final one.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I add my voice in congratulating the minister for bringing this to the fore and at a very good time. And there's a need for all of us to appreciate sports as one tool, when utilized, should be able to bring everybody together. And it is not out of place why the United Nations, somewhere in 2005, accepted and adopted sports as a tool for development, particularly to encourage peace building and allow people to bury differences and so on. Mr. Speaker, I believe in Ghana, over the years, our sportsmen and women have really raised the flag of this country across the world and have really played a significant role in marketing this country free of charge, not necessarily asking the ministry to budget for advertisements in those foreign journals, etc. Anytime they participate in such international events, the various cameras obviously provides us the opportunity for Ghana to be located geographically and also attract the needed, and that is why all of us must appreciate the position of sports, because it goes beyond political divide, it goes beyond religious, and many, of course, ethnic divide and so on and so forth. But it's also worth us looking at how it all started and how it began in this country, where we appear to be divided somewhat. Anytime our gallant men and women are out there to defend the flag, not the flag of any particular political party, but Ghana flag, the red, gold, green with the black star in that, embedded in it. But you realize that I can identify a few politicians, and I won't single out maybe a particular one. All of us stand to be blamed. And I think we need to begin to work within ourselves and see how this thing can be kept and nipped in the bud. We've been to Brazil, where through no fault of any politician, the problems over there ought to be looked at without necessarily looking into the issues with political lens. But we did so, where we want to blame others and all that. And that we must be able to overcome. And of course, the commentators, the journalists, and all those who run various commentaries. It is very, very important to begin to situate the issues where they belong.
and as much as possible not to divide Ghanaians along political lines, and to begin to give credit and all that to all persons with the intention of trying to demean the contribution of others. In fact, this is very key and important. And I think the minister, in some portions of the submission, made mention of what is ahead of us next year. It is our wish that probably we can adopt this to be maybe the turning curve and see how we go. But I also want to say, so much depends on him being the driver in the seat. You will have to, your demeanor, your utterances, the way you carry yourself about, the way you take all of us along, will depend on you and your followers. And sometimes when it becomes very necessary for us to carry out or do some rebuttals, and then to situate maybe facts, we will have to do so when we know that it is because some statements have not been situated properly. And so much depends on you. You are heading a very sensitive sector, a sector that must be able to bring all of us together. And so I think you've started and struck the good chord. And so we'll play along, but then we'll be watching you and all your followers. Because clearly, when you try it, we'll want to give you a dose of your failures. But however, I think I want to congratulate you for a good statement, calling on all of us to and I also want to add my voice in congratulating the Ghana Black Stars for the various the qualification first and foremost to AFCON, and also hopefully to the Qatar FIFA World Tournament, and also the other our women and all that. So we thank you. We associate ourselves. I associate myself with the statement. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, honorable minute.
Mr. Speaker, I should thank you for tolerating. The majority leader was engaging me on how we can work to ensure that we are able to rise on the 17th at best, or working through dawn on Saturday. So forgive me for that. But Mr. Speaker, let me thank the Honorable Minister for Youth and Sports, the Honorable Mustafa, for the statement seeking to build a united Ghana and a united support base for the Black Stars of Ghana as Ghana gets ready to support them for AFCON 2022. Mr. Speaker, historically, Ghana has won the African Cup of Nations 4 times and have been runner-up 5 times into 2010, 2015, 1992. And Mr. Speaker, one of the saddest moments was 1978, I'm told, because at that time I was not as old as you. I was not young, I was too young even to appreciate what the Black Stars will do. But Mr. Speaker, I've had to say this because the Minister for Youth and Sports, whilst commending you, you have a challenge. And the challenge is to seek to revolutionize football once again in Ghana, to make it an attractive activity and vocation for many young people. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, today is a very, very profitable venture and undertaking if you are successful in it. And Mr. Speaker, to assure the Minister that sometimes it is our body language and the way we communicate that sends the wrong signal, ends up dividing the country against what ordinarily have always united us as a country. And you can trust soccer and football, Mr. Speaker. When it comes to it, just as we're playing with South Africa, the whole country were yearning for nothing but victory. And that Ghana is able to make it to the last 10 to be able to participate in Qatar 2022. So kudos for that. but you know the problem. Mr. Speaker, a team, the political leadership, the president and you and us will provide it. But your technical bench is not good and strong enough. You must work on the technical bench. And the use of old Black Stars players, don't appreciate it, Mr. Speaker. There are many experienced Black Stars players who want to play a role in supporting your technical bench to be successful. Regardless of where they come from or who they are, seek to engage them to be able to support your technical bench. And Mr. Speaker, he knows what I'm talking about. There's been instances where they need to make critical changes. Even the supporting public will know that no, you have to change your format. But we get disappointed when he fails to do it, and then we have to be sad when we get defeated. Mr. Speaker, apart from AFCON, we have to prepare the Black Stars for Qatar. It is a must-go journey for the Black Stars. And I want to assure my colleague, the Honorable Mustafa, Member of Parliament, that the country will stand very, very united with the Black Stars to make Ghana proud. Mr. Speaker, secondly, he's raised a very significant issue. Thankfully, the Honorable Minister for Communications is here. She may hear us, but she has to work with other ministers, particularly the Minister for Trade and Industry. And Mr. Speaker, let me paraphrase from the minister's statement when he says that His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa invited corporate Ghana to a breakfast meeting in order to raise about $25 million to support the Black Stars by way of funding. Mr. Speaker, truth is, government alone cannot adequately fund the Black Stars. The worst of it is when you need money and you have to wait for an honorable Minister of Finance whose response to any demand is no, there's no money, there's no budget, it's not available. At that time, the match is only 24, 48 hours away. When the players don't hear that you are carrying bonuses along, and that you are carrying your empty bag with the promise that when they win and you get to Accra, you pay them bonuses, it has not been helpful, Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker, I'm coming back that I wholeheartedly support, and indeed is my position, that corporate Ghana must finance soccer and football. And I think that a bill in that direction, corporate social responsibility bill, must emanate from the Minister for Trade and Industry, working in tandem with the Minister for Communications, so that corporate entities, I know the Honorable Arnaud Dompré has come on the floor of Parliament as a specialist on statements to raise the bar on corporate social responsibility and what we should direct it for. And I do agree with him that the corporate world must finance football, soccer, sports generally, but it will come with what you call tax rebates for them, for that particular service to the Republic of Ghana. But Mr. Speaker, in Ghana, we all enjoy corporate entities doing funeral donations and wedding donations. That is none of their business. They must focus on the real things, and the real things is for them to be able to support football. But Mr. Speaker, again, Minister, you have our support, but juvenile football is at its lowest ebb of development, not you. Successive ministers, successive administrations, both political, we have failed juveniles in this country, Mr. Speaker. And truth be told, it has nothing to do with MPP or NDC. Juvenile football in the last 2 decades, even academies, those who have endeavored to set up soccer academies, cannot finance them. Yet the talents can only emanate from those juveniles with potential to develop them into becoming professional, valuable soccer players. Mr. Speaker, whilst commending him, in March, I had the joy of my life when the minister walked to my office with one of the players who is now a shining examples in the Black Stars, Abdul Fattah Isahaku, plays for my team. I do football and soccer as an additional vocation. And Minister walked in when he won the best under-20 satellite player total overall in Africa. Mr. Speaker, what is significant is that since his invitation to the Black Stars, his value has gone up. I'm now negotiating very well with those other teams that are interested in him. Including
also, can I guess it?
Mr. Speaker,
you too, your value has gone up, hasn't it?
Mr. Speaker, I'll share the spoils of it when the deal is finally sealed. I'm only waiting for the boy to be 18 years and I can have a formal contractual relationship. And Mr. Speaker, fair to him, just the invitation to be a member of the Black Stars, his value have soared. But brilliant, gifted player. So we owe it to support you to succeed. Then, Mr. Speaker, finally, as I end, Division 1 and Premier League. Mr. Speaker, my colleague, the Minister for Employment, he beat my team 2 weeks ago in the Brown Halfway area, Honorable Bafwewa. He has 2 of those clubs at Division 1 level. Mr. Speaker, to finance a football match, just 1 weekend, we go borrowing because nothing comes from the Ghana Football Association and nothing comes from anywhere. So how are you seeking to make football attractive? Mr. Speaker, I have to transport at least 14 to 18 players to travel. You have to feed them, you have to pay their allowances, you have to pay their monthly stipends. How many can afford to do that? Our only hope is that, Mr. Speaker, when you do spend and you are lucky for one major sale, you would have recovered your 10, 20 years lost investment in the area. But if you are unlucky, what happens to you? So, Minister, juvenile football and juvenile soccer across the country. Then the pitches, Mr. Speaker. That's why I say, Mr. Speaker, one of my vocations at the weekend is to play football. Sometimes we come to the Accra Sports Stadium. It is not in good state. You easily can develop a knee injury. Just running and falling off a pothole with the boots can cause you a knee. And it's the state of it. Tamale, I help him thanks to his generosity in maintaining sometimes the Tamale Sports Stadium. Even grassing and other issues are still a problem. So I'm sure in future you have to come back. The Upper East region and your own corner there will need a sports stadium in that area, in the Upper West region in that area, in the Volta region, if you look at the stadium, not up to scratch. You have to plan ahead. But these are all matters corporate Ghana should be able to work with you in order that they can build it and then lease it out. Mr. Speaker, tolerate me for taking too much time. Finally, in Ghana, and that one, Mr. I don't know how you want to work it. Branding. In the United Kingdom, they have branded football very well. So for them, when you are entering Downing Street 10, football is Great Britain. Innovation is Great Britain. Ghana. Every Ghanaian this weekend, Mr. Speaker, is interested in the Chelsea Man U scores. Not Midiame versus RTU versus House of Oak or versus Kotoko, Mr. Speaker. Growing up, we all enjoyed hearing Ukuma Pima Apimbeba. It is lost in our vocabulary. The pride with which we supported local football, particularly when you had, and then secondary show boys. Then Honorable Mutala go, Mr. Speaker. At the time, he was poor like me. He used to wall. We used to scale the Canadian Sports Stadium just to catch a glimpse of football because we couldn't afford to pay. So we go holding the walls of the bricks there to find, or we'll plan that the gate man will go and push him Mr. Speaker. But on my point, how come that today every Ghanaian at the weekend is interested in English Premier and then La Liga and probably what goes on in France, but not interested in what goes in Ghana? So, Minister, you have a responsibility to rebrand football in Ghana and to make competitive football attractive to Ghanaians and to take advantage. Ghana has, Mr. Speaker, lots of talents in football. And Mr. Speaker, the better we provide them opportunities today, there will be the Abedi Peles, there are some Wajans of tomorrow. But they need an opportunity. And the juvenile football, Mr. Speaker, as I've said, you only see us take it seriously when foreign scouts come into a region. Then we are told that get children who are between 14 to 17 to 16 to come and display. We have never heard it from government sources or GFA sources that we want to be able to undertake scouting, a competitive football to know our talents at that level. So, Mr. Speaker, once again, let me thank the Honorable Minister and to assure him that we will stand strong with you. So, what you say and what you do is what may divide the support behind you. So keep the solidarity and the momentum high. We will support you to succeed. The Honorable Dr. Rashid Pepo has been there as Minister. The Honorable Muntaka has been there as Minister. They all, Ayaga was there. They have some modicum of success, but we are not there yet. The state of football development in Ghana today is abysmal, nothing more. It is nothing to be proud of, but you can make us proud by making sure that we take part in AFCON, not just participate, but to win our 5th trophy, and that we get represented in Qatar for the World Cup. So, Mr. Speaker, once again, let me thank you for the opportunity and assure the Minister that the country will stand firm and strong with you in supporting the Black Stars. And we expect corporate Ghana to be generous with resources to support you as you do it. And as I said, you quietly can engage the Honorable Minister for Communication. Some of it is not, it's just diplomacy. They will be able to find a way to assist you by way of sponsorship so that the Black Stars can make us proud. As for our history, it's one of 1960 and 1982. We want a history today. In the 2020s, this is how the Black Stars fared. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity. Speaker, I'm not a football person. I think the Honorable Minority Leader has dealt exhaustively with the issues, except to say that we need to be stop being overly dependent on the past glories. I mean, oftentimes we hear Ghanaians say that, oh, we've won it 4 times. I think that is enough. Many more countries are catch up with us, and hence we don't have to be overly dependent on that past glory. I'm reliably informed that next year will be 40 years since the last time we won the AFCON. Fact be told, all other nations in Africa have equal stake in the trophy. We shouldn't think that we have some special stake in the AFCON. We have to train, we have to subject ourselves to the rules and do what we have to do. And the Honorable Minister has set the tone. And if you listen to the Minority Leader, he goes round, he talks about all the prescriptions, the sport prescriptions and what they should do, and he ends with the Sports Minister. I dare say the Sports Minister cannot do it alone. He can't. The factors, the variables involved in sport development from the 80s have changed. But we have failed to change accordingly. Our best players are being attracted outside the jurisdiction. That is weakens the local competition we have in our country. Why are they leaving? what are the measures we have in place to at least put some control in that, instance where they just leave the shores and we don't get that needed quality. And the same people come and say that our football is not up to standard, and we are all out there desiring to watch football from other jurisdictions, the Premiership, the Bundesliga, La Liga, and Co. It's all because we've not employed and impacted the conscious policy to guide it. So, Speaker, the Minister talks about prayer. Yes, we will pray for the team. But let's not overly depend on spirituality. We must train. Let's train, employ the rifle tactics, scouts, and let the team be ready. Currently, Minister, our team, the various departments of our national team, the senior national team, I know there are particular department of the national team that has a challenge. And I'm sure, Minister, that is also not lost on you. Can we focus on ensuring that the critical department of our senior national team is enhanced? That is important. Recently, I was reading news portal of some strikers in Italy and other parts of the world, Ghanaian footballers who are doing very well. Is it the case that we have shut our doors and we don't open it wide enough to allow these Ghanaian players to come and show what they can show as a team? That is a matter that we need to look at if indeed we want to perform and put up one of the spirited performers of the AFCON. Then we should look at that. The minority leader touching on this corporate social responsibility law is something that maybe we'll leave for another day for it to be exhausted. I think it's something that it was unfortunate this House could not delve into it. But I pray that we have an appropriate opportunity where we can deal with that. So, we have nothing to tell you. Our spirits are with you, our prayers are with you, but the bus will stop with you. At the end of the day, God forbid, or perish the thought, if we don't succeed. People will come and say that as a sports, and unfortunately sports ministers are judged by how successful the national team performs. People fail to appreciate that the development of our coast football and juvenile football impacts, and it has a direct bearing on how our national team performs. People fail to appreciate that. It is when the national team performs that you are judged to have performed. Unfortunately, that is strange, and it's something we have to look at. So our prayers are with you, but we want to see fairness in the selection of players who partake and represent the country. We want the best. We must put our best foot forward. And in the face of the fact that the last time we won the trophy is next year will be 40 years, we must leave no stone unturned. Let's train well. Let's camp at appropriate place with the rightful altitude. Let's get our tactics right. Let's get our team management right. And I'm sure that when Ghanaians see that there is fairness in the selection of players, the support will already the support is there. The support is there. Ghanaians support the national team. But when we begin to sense that, there is no fairness in the selection of players, bonuses are not paid at the right time, there are issues coming up, that would demoralize the support that you are so desirous of seeing. So we want you to pay particular attention to these areas. Particularly, Speaker, this will be my concluding contribution. We must distinguish departments of our national team where there are challenges. For me, as I sit here, as a layman as I am, I'm not a technical person, the midfield and the striking department of our national team, senior national team, we have a challenge there. And I just hope that we'll be able to crystallize the effort and ensure that we develop that. Again, the Honorable Haruna Idrisu said it, the minority leader said it. We should not politicize this sport. Beautiful sport. We shouldn't. When the national team succeeds, it is corporate Ghana that has succeeded. The tendency for people to say that, okay, well, we are not in power, so they should fail. Don't help anybody. And that is an aspect that we all need to be wary of. Rally around the national team, rally around the minister, rally around corporate Ghana, so that at least the next edition To all intents and purposes, we can bring the trophy home to the glory of Mother Ghana and also to the glory of the Honorable Minister. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity.
Very well, Honorable Minister. You've managed to bring us together for some time now. I think that's very commendable. On another day, I'll join in the discussion of the youth teams and the national team. Like you said, when I was growing up, on a day Kotogan House were playing, the whole country was running towards a particular stadium. I remember Suhum Secretary team. They were very popular. They would be coming in their trucks to Kumasi, you know. And then later at Bekwai, we had a Osenio plan team. I was the one-man lead supporter at Kofrode. I was practicing in Kofrode. And when they come to Kofrode, I'll stop everything I was doing to go and support them. But you see, leader, you probably are selling the players too early. The hatchery, you're taking the eggs before they hatch and you give them away. So getting quality players to play for the national team, it appears to me to be a challenge. When people used to run after players, follow them and give them funds, they were real good quality players. Probably we should reconsider how and when the young players can live like this. On that note, I wish to assure you that the whole House, and indeed the whole country, will be with you, will support the national team, and all we can do is pray and give them the funds, so they should go and perform for us. Thank you very much. Yes.
Speaker, may I seek your leave to lay item 7A on behalf of the majority leader. AI, just AI, excluding all.
AI is on what page?
We have page 4.
All right.
AI.
Yes, you may proceed.
Annual budget estimates of the audit service for the year 2022.
What's it?
The paper is duly presented. It's referred to the Committee on Special Budget to consider and report.
So I'm reliably informed that we may have to lay the others as well. That is 7A, I. So with your leave.
Very well. Proceed with I then.
Annual budget estimates of Parliament and the Parliamentary Service for the year 2022.
The paper is duly presented. Is referred to the Committee on Special Budget to consider and report. Item I.
Annual budget estimates of the Judiciary and the Judicial Service for the year 2022.
The paper is duly presented. Is referred to the Committee on Special Budget to consider and report. Sorry. The Judiciary Committee, let me revoke the referral to the special budget and to refer the estimates of the judiciary to the Judicial Committee of the House. Yes, Leader.
Speaker, just one observation so that you can further direct. In respect of the budget estimates for Parliament and the judiciary, it ordinarily should be accompanied by a formal letter from the President. And many a times we go and we are asking for it. So if you can further direct that to commence proceedings, we always need to be guided that this the President's formal communication to the budget of Parliament and to the judiciary. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well, I so direct. Yes, you would.
Speaker, I think we left out on page 9, we laid the report for the Agri Committee, but inadvertently left out the one related to fisheries, that is S on page 9, SI. We laid the
We did
II.
both. We did both. I've marked them.
So I take a cue accordingly. I've engaged extensively with my respected minority leader. We'll come to an agreement that we should sit at 2 p.m. tomorrow. So, Speaker, with your pleasure.
You mean we will not have any reports to debate when we come in the morning?
Speaker, the sense we get from the committees is that they are running up the report, and there's a demand for various correspondence from various departments and ministries, and they are almost done with that. So tomorrow, the morning hours will afford them enough for ample time to be able to come atop the situation, so that we can, when we sit at 2, then all these reports would have crystallized, and then we can have alacrity in taking this report.
Very well. Yes, leader.
Mr. Speaker, we are in your hands. We expect that tomorrow a number of the sectoral reports can be taken and decisions taken on them. So whether it's 2 o'clock, 12 noon, Mr. Speaker, as you may direct, we would comply, just to encourage members that this is when we should have real attendance and participation in the business of the House, and not these numbers. And then to remind the whip that numbers will be important for him going forward tomorrow.
Very well. Honourable members, the House is accordingly adjourned to 2 p.m. Please make sure that there are a lot of business to transact, even late into the evening. 2 p.m.